Joe Biden is continuing the trend of Democrats self-sabotaging by hinting that he's considering Republicans in his cabinet. Now, that is a high degree of risk with very little payoff, especially since this is now being floated in the middle of this election, where we keep hearing about how important it is to beat Donald Trump. Now, this is based on new reporting by Politico that provides some specific names as to which Republicans could be serving on Biden's cabinet. And I do want to note that some of these names have been vetted, meaning that the Biden campaign has begun the vetting process. And this isn't just some rumor. This appears to be a list of serious contenders in Biden's cabinet. So one person close to the Biden transition said it remains a priority to have options from different parts of the ideological spectrum for the former vice president to consider.
Really?
No, it really shouldn't be a priority. If the whole point is to get Donald Trump out of office because he's been so disastrous, and if Donald Trump represents the Republican Party now, meaning what Republican voters want, you look at the polling, Republican voters love Trump. Why would you want to bring in that ideological perspective to your cabinet? Makes no sense, but let me give you some specific names. Among the names being floated for possible Biden cabinet posts are Meg Whitman, the CEO of Quibi and former CEO of eBay, and former Ohio Governor John Kasich, who by the way is one of the names being vetted right now, both of whom spoke at August's Democratic National Convention. Massachusetts GOP Governor Charlie Baker and former Senator Jeff Flake, both Republicans, have also been mentioned, as has former Representative Charlie Dent from Pennsylvania, who resigned from Congress in 2018 and became a lobbyist. Lots of fun there. Now, Cenk, before you jump in, I just want to remind you all of what the voting record was for Jeff Flake. Before he decided that he wouldn't run again, he voted along Donald Trump, or voted along with Donald Trump 81.3% of the time, and that's according to analysis from 538. Representative Charlie Dent voted along with Donald Trump 93% of the time. But we got to get Trump out of office. It's really important. It's a crisis. Anyway, go ahead, Cenk.
So there's several different things here. First of all, don't tell us how important it is to beat Republicans, and then at the same time tell us, I can't wait to put Republicans in my government. That makes no sense at all. And I know in Washington world that makes sense, because that's how else would we get deals to cut taxes for the rich, unless corporate Democrats and corporate Republicans work together. Well, we don't want those deals. The Democratic voters don't want those deals, and the American people don't want those deals, and I'm basing that on polling. Second of all, look at how much they help Republican framing. Oh, no, they're still moderate and reasonable Republicans. Republicans are totally moderate and reasonable. It's just Donald Trump that's the problem. But Charlie Dent, who agreed with Trump 93% of the time, that's a fact. That's not an opinion. That is not, hey, Charlie Dent went and looked respectable on television. Charlie Dent went and said something slightly critical of Donald Trump 2 or 3 times in his life. No, he voted. Actions matter way more than anything else. He voted with Trump 93% of the time. That's wonderful. I can't wait to put him in the cabinet. When you put someone in the cabinet, you know what it means? It means theoretically that they are the most qualified person in the country for that job. So you would be saying, I don't think there's a single Democrat in the country who's more qualified than someone who voted with Donald Trump 93% of the time. That's an insane thing to say if you're a Democrat. God, they know nothing about politics, nothing. So, and you say, hey, well, Cenk, come on. The guy's about to be president. How could you say he knows nothing about politics? Because over the long term, the Democrats constantly reinforce Republican framing. That is why during the Obama years and in the beginning of the Trump years, over a decade, they lost 1,000 seats, 1,000 seats nationally. And they have every demographic advantage. When you look at the polling, they have massive advantages on almost every policy issue. The Democrats, with the positions that they hold, almost cannot lose national elections. But yet somehow they managed to lose to Donald Trump the first time around because they're grotesquely incompetent. And now they come around and go, I'm gonna fill my cabinet with Republicans after I asked you to give me hundreds of millions of dollars to defeat Republicans. It's insanity. Now, one more thing at least. So you're telling me you're looking across the ideological spectrum. So is Bob Reich going to be the Treasury Secretary?
Yeah, right.
How about a moderate progressive? Elizabeth Warren, is she gonna be Treasury Secretary? Is she gonna be Attorney General? Name a progressive. Okay, here, let's have a lot of fun. Senator Nina Turner, are you considering her for the cabinet? If I said that to the Biden team, I know what the reaction would be. It would be, Nina Turner, we would never consider her. Well, she's one of the leading progressives in the country. You poll progressives right now. I challenge you. I bet you she comes in the top, I think she comes in top 2, but let's be generous and say top 3. Okay, so you would never, ever consider someone who's incredibly popular with progressives. But Republicans who vote with Trump 90% of the time, oh, come on in. Biden administration is open for business. If on top of all this, they name a lobbyist / Democratic consultant, especially a lobbyist, someone who works for corporations as his chief of staff, then you'll know. And it's not us progressives. It'll be Biden's team declaring war on progressives and saying, no, we're gonna stuff the cabinet with the Republicans and lobbyists. And we were kidding, we're never gonna do. All we're gonna do is, yes, we'll protect democracy, we're not fascists. So you dodged the bullet on that one, but everything else, business as usual. We're gonna go back to the corporate machine, crushing all of you until Democrats lose the next election.
During the Obama administration, we had a president who was overwhelmingly concerned with criticism from the right wing. He was constantly trying to appease them. He was overwhelmingly concerned about how Fox News was covering him. And so now we get Trump, and some people were under the impression that Trump would be so terrible that it would create some sort of revolutionary moment in the country where we would move toward progressivism. But what we're gonna get with Biden is actually gonna be worse than what we experienced with Obama, because Biden is starting to flirt with the idea of bringing in like Bush era Republicans. Did we all forget about how awful the Bush administration was? Now, the names that I mentioned as possible cabinet picks, I'm sure were influenced by the fine people over at the Lincoln Project. Again, Bush era Republicans who very much hate Donald Trump, but did some pretty disastrous things in promoting Bush's policies when he was in charge. And so I'm worried that, yes, we're going to in some ways stop the bleeding when it comes to the dismantling of our democracy. But when it comes to policies, Cenk, I think you're 100% right. These names that are being floated right now essentially promote an ongoing war between the neoliberal faction of the Democratic Party and the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. And it's degrading. It's degrading as a progressive to read names like this and then have someone like Joe Biden and other establishment Democrats package it up as, no, this is all about unity. I don't wanna engage in unity with bad people, right? Would you want to engage in unity with like serial killers? No, there are good people and bad people, reasonable people, unreasonable people. Why do we want unity with unreasonable people? It makes no sense.
Okay, and further school of keeping it real. John Kasich nearly won the Republican nomination in the last election in 2016, not 20 years ago. He came in the top 3, arguably top 2, depending on how you look at it. He almost beat Trump. So you are considering bringing the Republicans, one of the Republican standard bearers in the country, into your cabinet. And then think about how that affects 2024. Likely Biden is not going to run for re-election in 2024. Then what did you do? You set up John Kasich perfectly so that he could win not only the Republican nomination, but the presidency. Who would be that monumentally stupid? And by the way, Kamala Harris, hello, anybody on Kamala's team? I know if it's a progressive, you guys are out there trying to make sure they don't get any cabinet positions so they won't challenge Kamala Harris when she runs in 2024. Hello, McFly, Kasich is gonna run against you. Why would you put him in the cabinet? God, these people are unbelievable. But to be fair to them, Obama put a Republican in the cabinet. He reached across the aisle. That's why he got so many votes from Republicans. As you all remember, 0 votes, none, 0. They tried to kill it. Not only did they not vote for the Affordable Care Act, they tried to kill it over 50 times while Obama was president, and another 20 afterwards. And so, and what did Obama get for reaching out across the aisle and for putting Republicans in his cabinet? We all know that it was nothing. So why would you repeat that mistake? and help Republican framing and help Republican reputations while you're doing it. Look, one of our members wrote in a funny comment. He's got a funny handle too. His handle is nipple pierce Jenkins skinny jeans. Makes me uncomfortable every time I say it, but you could have me say those things too if you remember tyt.com/join. So anyway, he wrote in, hope Trump won't be in Biden cabinet. Team of rivals. Republicans are so reasonable. We gotta beat Trump. And so if you're willing to put someone who agrees with Trump 90% of the time in the cabinet, I don't know, is Biden considering Trump? I know he would never consider real progressives in the cabinet. God forbid, God forbid. That's his base. The ideological spectrum ends before we get to his base, but it extends all the way into Trump's base. Well played, Democrats, genius move. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.